I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, roll call, Josie.
Bergman. Here. Burns.
Here.
Schmidt.
Here.
Peterson.
Here.
Fish. Here.
Very good. I will call us to order at 7 p.m. on this fine Monday evening. Just want to remind you that the City of Grant is videoing or recording this meeting. Also, the City of Grant abides by the Nebraska Open Meeting Act in conducting business. A copy of the Nebraska Open Meeting Act is on display in this meeting room as required by the Nebraska state law. It's posted on the south wall there. It is also available online. Review and action on the agenda.
I move to accept the June 12th, 2023 proposed agenda.
Second. Andrea moved and Kimberly seconds that we accept the June 12th, 2023 proposed agenda. Any discussion? Tierney, how do you vote? Yes. Kimberly? Yes. Tim?
Yes.
Andrea? Yes. Motion carried. Thank you very much. Review and action on prior meeting minutes from May 8th, 2023.
Move to accept action on prior meeting minutes for May 8th, 2023 and waive the reading.
Second. Tierney moved and Kimberly second that we accept the prior meeting minutes for May 8th, 2023 and waive the reading. Any discussion? Sam, how do you vote?
Abstain.
Andrea?
Yes.
Tierney?
Yes.
Kimberly? Yes. Motion carried. Thank you very much. Review and action on prior meeting minutes, May 22nd, 2023.
Move to accept action on prior meeting minutes, May 22nd, 2023, and waive the reading.
Second.
Sam moved and Tierney seconds that we accept the prior meeting minutes of May 22nd, 2023 and waive the reading. Any discussion? Andrea, how do you vote? Sam?
Yes.
Tierney?
Yes.
Kimberly? Same. I vote yes. And motion carried. Communications, Mr. Edward.
Absolutely. Okay, well, let's start with some meetings coming up here. Cemetery Board will meet tomorrow at 5:15 in this room. Again, that's June 13th at 5:15 p.m. In this room. Library Board will meet Wednesday the 14th at 5:15 at the library. That again is June 14th at 5:15 p.m. at the library. And then the Tree Board normally meets on the third Tuesday, but this month they've moved their meeting to the fourth Tuesday, the 27th, June 27th at 4 p.m. And then that'll take us to our next meeting, which is July 10th. Sorry, I skipped an entire 2 weeks. June 26th. June
You only got a break in December.
Okay, you're right. June 26th, our next meeting. So, good news. You're going to hear it before the Cemetery Board only because you meet before then. Well, we did hire a cemetery assistant, and they will start tomorrow. So if you see Kate Fettig around, please welcome her to the team. She's going to be assisting us with weed eating at the cemetery at this time, and then we'll see how far we can take additional duties for at the cemeteries.
Perfect.
Good news there. We have offered a job to a custodian. They've accepted. We just need to have a time to get I-9 and all the employment paperwork done. So, yay, we're back on track. Good news there. Work continues downtown. They are on to the next block. They're still at about a block a week. He's still trying to maintain a schedule of being wrapped up with everything reopened at the end of July, so by July 31st. His goal is actually before the fair parade, but hopefully we continue to keep getting rain. I'm okay with pushing it back as long as we're getting moisture. But, I think he's been doing his best to get a hold of businesses and we're coming in and talking to Jesse and I on how do we contract so and so. They're only open on Fridays. So, work continues there. Tom came in, we met with, or they've done the final walkthrough with BSV for the water project, so we're just awaiting the state's approval on that, and we can wrap that project up officially on how the final checklist is going. So,
Perfect.
good news.
Thank you very much. Andrea, any standing committee report?
I have been.
Kimberly?
None.
Tierney?
None.
Sam?
None.
The library board, did meet for a special meeting, on the 8th at 4:30. They did it as a special meeting because they thought in advance they were going to have quorum. They did not have quorum, therefore it was just discussion on the budget. Their plan is to continue the discussion on the budget in more detail, on the 14th, this Wednesday. So,
Very good. Thank you. All right, we had in our packet, looks like we had the city enforcement, the sheriff report. Thank you, Sheriff.
Yes.
And we had the water report. Everyone get a chance to review those? All right, please note that we reviewed the enforcement, sheriff and water reports. Financial, Jesse?
They're in process, so you'll have them, the official copies in the next meeting.
All right, public comments, just remember for public comments, we need to do it from the podium and, state your name and, where you live. Any public comments today? All right, thank you. Unfinished business, Jesse, would you please read ordinance 230501?
Ordinance number 23-05-01, an ordinance by the mayor and council of the city of Grant, Perkins County, amending the revised municipal code of the city of Grant, Perkins County, Nebraska, ordinance number 18-11-01, by adding a new subparagraph D in chapter 7, public utilities, article 2, water department, section 7-216, unsafe connection prohibited, backflow prevention devices required.
Okay.
I'll just remind the council that this was necessary due to our last sanitary survey conducted by NDEE. Tony Martinez is our field rep. And we needed something in there to have enforcement behind the cross connection survey. That is a requirement of Title 179 every 5 years. I did find a spelling error in there, so cross is C-R-O-S-S, not 1S. So I will fix that before I remove the highlight on the third reading at the next council meeting.
Okay, any questions or discussions? All right, very good. We'll be, again on unfinished business at our next meeting. New business. Sometimes we get to do something fun at our meetings. So with great joy, we have special recognition today for Jesse. 15 years. Oh my gosh. Does it feel like 15 years? Maybe during budget time, we go like 30. All right, I believe we have
We do have a certificate and not often do you get to walk into a new environment and have someone who has the knowledge, the honor, and the integrity that Jesse has. With everything that goes through the city, she makes sure that it is done by the state and is fiscally responsible, even though Ed pushes the limits quite a bit. But Jesse truly is an asset to our community and an asset to our city as our administrative staff. It's been a pleasure working with you and getting to know you. And I look for 15 more years. So, yes, we have a certificate and then I have some others.
You're in the middle here. Come up here, Ed.
Oh, you're good. I'm gonna take a picture. Sam gets one. That's okay. Sam gets the thumbs up. There you go.
And, yeah.
I don't need to be, okay, so. Most every morning, sometimes give or take, Jessie has tea. So I got chai tea for you.
Thank you.
I know she likes chai tea because her mom usually brings it to her. So there's some chai tea, and you need something to drink your chai tea in. These gifts are from me. These were not paid by tax, these are not paid with tax dollars. So, thank you. So, I got a cup. It says treasurer. Couldn't find one that says clerk treasurer, so. Someone who solves problems you never knew existed in ways that will blow your mind, literally every day. Also see ninja, excuse my French here, bad behind, legend. Thank you for 15 years of dedicated service to the city and citizens of Grant, Nebraska. Yeah. Still coffee on this? Pretty sure it still works. Gift cards and movies.
Oh, no, we have to move on to not as fun.
Not as fun.
But it's always nice to have something fun.
Well, this is fun. That's fun.
Well, yeah, it is fun. It's true. Maybe not doing the paperwork itself, but action and discussion on resolution 230601, resolution of the mayor and the council of the city of Grant, Perkins County, accepting the fair parade duties as set forth by Nebraska State Statute 39-1359. So this is something we do every year if we're required because we go down a state highway, right?
Jim, to my knowledge, the route will remain the same as last.
Correct, and the county has signed their part of the agreement.
Okay.
So also it's our responsibility.
Fair parade. Great, this is true.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 230601 and authorize the mayor and Jesse to sign. Second.
Kimberly moved and Tierney seconds that we accept resolution 230601, authorizing the mayor and Jesse to sign. Any discussion? Kimberly, how do you vote? Tierney? Yes. Okay, Andrew. Brad. Parade is a fun thing to do. All right, on to less fun things, but as part of the business. And this is just a discussion tonight. Just getting more information on our proposed grant revised municipal code regarding excess noise.
So I was able to gather quite a bit of data, and I appreciate Mr. Sauer doing sort of some of the groundwork and coming to the last meeting prepared. Communications, I guess, and also thank you for being absent at the last meeting and some family business to take care of. So he came prepared and I went right to work after watching the meeting and talking with the mayor on gathering comparable nuisances. These communities that I pulled from are the same ones that I pulled from our Nebraska survey. So they're comparable in size, FTEs, and budget expenditure. So as you can see, there's 12. Ours would be 13. Our current code is highlighted on the first page. And then there's a few that are way extensive that are pretty big with Bayard and Alma. And I think the last one here, Loop City, also being pretty extensive. The majority of them are similar to ours in the fact that they, just say offensive to the census type of language. Couple of them, 3, I think, in fact, do state some times. Imperial 10 to 6, Atkinson 8 to 7. And I think there was one more that I highlighted. Well, not necessarily times, but Alma had, quiet zones, 300 feet of a hospital, nursing home, or school. So some different choices in there to work from, and I don't know if you had any time to sort of review these, and I'd be willing to answer any questions or thoughts or.
Loop City had a time too, didn't it?
Really, they had a couple of times actually, for different days of the week.
Oh.
And then whether it's radio phonographs or yelling, shouting and the like. I'm not really sure we should be yelling or shouting or hooting or whistling at all, but it is what it is.
Oh, it sounds like a football game.
But to me, it sounds like catcalling and we shouldn't be doing that, so. But this is our starting point, so it's for discussion. Really what I hope to get out of this is some guidance so that I can come back to the next meeting with the first draft of an ordinance change, if any. Not saying it has to happen, but that's the intent of this discussion.
Well, most of the people I talk to, would appreciate like a time when they can be noisy or be quiet. But hardly any of them like agreed on the time. You know, some people were like super early, like, and I'm like, oh, and then some people were like super late and same thing in the morning. Some people were like, well, 6 should be soon enough. And I'm like, well, let's do, you know, so we're gonna have to choose a middle ground.
I agree. I saw common themes. But the what originally brought this up was the people that they said that the big events have been going on for years. Is why they kind of came up, like kind of finally called the police or got the police involved. Everybody seemed to support the time. I agree with that. There was also a worry with the time. The time was like, well, if we just give this blanket time frame, then it means that somebody can run their lawnmower next to your house at 10 o'clock at night, and I don't want that next to my house at 10 o'clock at night. So I think it needs to be maybe some specific things. Everyone kind of said that they moved to a small town because they want to live in a small town neighborhood. They don't want to live next to a garage. With this particular complaint, they said that it's gotten better since the complaint. So that shows that our current nuisance thing is working, and if somebody can actually work on their car in town and not cause a noise disturbance. And then I thought some of the points that were brought up were there was intention to disturb the peace. It talked about excessive noise, especially with vehicles. It talked about basically a waiver as far as concerned is like emergency vehicles, you know, necessary because we have to, like, you know, we blow a water main, you gotta think of, you know, some things. So everybody seemed to like the waiver idea, you know, for temporary things.
Right.
Construction of a house next door room, you know, block party, but not all the time. So I think our current one works, and I think that I would like a time, but I'd also, if we're gonna do a time at probably a month, I would suggest we add some of those unusual noise things or things that, like, you know, because the other ones already have them in there. I would follow I like Atkinson's excessive noise one. I think some noises are considered normal. Lawnmower is considered like a normal.
Necessary.
Yeah, necessary.
You have to mow your lawn.
Yeah.
And you know, some people have to wait till they're off work, and then you want to wait till it cools off a little bit to mow your lawn, because.
But when like ski shooting, you know,
Right.
if you live on the edge of town, you know what I mean? So I think there's some noises that wouldn't be allowed like ever, and sometimes it would be like a different time frame. And I wanted to ask the sheriff too, and so I solicited his feedback, and so I'd be, if I misquote you or you feel like I'm not saying, he seemed to think that he would like a time as well that would give some direction for him and his officers. So, and if there's other things that you think you suggest that you'd also like, I'd be happy to open to that, because you have to be the one that really enforces it, right?
Right.
Jim, what time make it easier or harder to?
I think it sets a parameter, which would be nice, you know, instead of just. Right now, we have no guidance as to time, so it's kind of open to interpretation of, is it a disturbance or a nuisance or not during that particular time, so.
Okay.
If we have a time frame, that would help clarify. I mean, that makes it more cut and dry.
We'll note also that they look at some, and Mr. Sowers brought the Lincoln code in, and that had some decibel levels and all of this other stuff. I think the feedback that I got from other administrators our size were, that makes it really difficult for enforcement. Because then you have too many parameters.
And we wouldn't have the equipment to make.
You would have to buy a
levels.
decibel meter and
I mean, without going out and purchasing that, so that's not something currently available.
so that's why none of that sort of language is in there.
Anybody have any other thoughts?
No, I mean, I think the time makes sense. It makes it very clear for enforcement. It makes it clear for people who are planning, who have something special going on that might be a little bit more obnoxious than they would normally be. At least they can be respectful of hours, and those being disturbed know that there's an end point.
True.
Honestly,
Right,
you know.
Yeah,
And there are a couple of individuals who do block parties every year.
Yeah, and we need a big permit.
And we work with the sheriff's office and that to notify the fire departments of emergency.
Mhm.
I mean, we don't have a form for it, but I mean, they're very polite, very respectful. They come in and say, hey, we're gonna have our block party and what do we need to do? And they procure their own insurance and all the necessary steps, so. I mean, the necessary steps being that, can we close the street? Have we notified the police department? Have we notified the fire department? And that's really the extent of it. But we have no issues with block parties. I mean, at this point, I mean,
Was there a range of times? Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna ask Connor if she had, any input, since she would be the one that would be given.
yeah, we have to
and
be
then
enforceable.
the winter would not be enforceable, that's.
I mean, I guess my other question would be to you guys, with whether or not you feel like as far as certain noises or certain activities,
I mean,
you know,
like
because that's
that's,
something that you also have to address at this point, if that's something you guys want to. Are you gonna allow people to work on cars, are you gonna allow, certain activities to happen or something, like that's kind of the other thing to think about too, like, I mean, I think, is 4th of July, the fireworks, is it 10? Except
I
for,
grab the ordinance book. It might
I
be.
thought it was
Yeah.
11 and midnight on
I think it's 11 and
Yeah.
midnight.
okay,
It's in the
I knew it
code,
was later.
yeah, it's in the code for
midnight at
it,
4th of July.
and we also have a construction
prior.
time
It's in this prior.
for that too in here already. A construction zone portion is in there, I know, too, that had time, I think it was.
We don't have anything that addresses like mowing or like yard work or
To
anything.
me, especially, obviously people are in different stages of their life, but like. When you have little kids, like 9 o'clock is late for loud noises and you want your kids to be able to sleep. And like a.
9 o'clock sleep for me, Tom.
I know.
Different stages.
and like for Randy, early as 1 AM.
Right.
I mean, really,
And then some people say, oh no, that's way too early, and
yeah.
so
I think it was been a noise. Lawnmower next to my house, 9 o'clock at night would bother me. Somebody playing a little bit of just not, maybe a little bit of music in their backyard that wasn't loud or wasn't, that would bother me, But 9 o'clock at night for me, you're calling me that somebody may be dying or maybe be a fire or something, it better be emergency.
I mean, if you have someone hammering and doing.
Yes,
things, right, you're supposed to
industrial
do it.
noise, that's not like Atkins, they talk about industrial noises.
Yeah,
Industrial noise and stuff.
it's the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's where you need to know, like, your guys' are specific. I mean, obviously you want to still broaden us so that you can. Cause you never know what it's actually gonna be, that's causing the noise, and so you wanna be able to still enforce on whatever parameters you set, but.
And then in the morning, like for me, 6 o'clock is not early, but for Randy, 6 o'clock is early. So again, broad range of people.
So again, when I was comparing this to other communities, I tried to maintain the cities of second class comparable to our size. I did look at Oglala's though. They actually prohibit, mechanic activities, garages within residential zoned areas. So this is something we could take up since we are revising the zoning code in that aspect as well. If you want to see that language in there.
So is that for just like a business mechanic, or is that like even a hobby? So you can work on your own car still in your garage, you just couldn't, you can't use a.
So you can do your derby car in your garage.
So hobby mechanic within a residentially zoned area. And they're a city of the first class. They're not really comparable to us at all. I just, proximity wise, I did reach out and take.
That was mentioned to me, so I was curious what the wording was, whether it was just a hobby or whether it was just something.
If that's something you want to look at, I can have, Miller's draft that language into the zoning. I'm not saying we need it. I think by adding the times, we could potentially fix quite a bit of the issue.
Because
It's a good starting point. I mean,
I definitely like the times.
I like the times and the fact that the current neighborhood is saying that he's able to work on his cars now without causing a problem, you know, means there's a way to do it.
And the other thing I would strongly suggest is the muffler. I think that, quite a few of the communities that I had in here all had some sort of a muffler ordinance.
Is that enforceable?
Is it a
Yeah.
fix-it ticket?
Perspective.
I mean, actually, a muffler is actually, that whole thing comes from state statute. And most ordinances are derived from state statutes, so
But that would be like licensed for a road, right?
they'll be licensed for road, but I mean, you know, we enforce muffler things now. If a car were to be driving down Main Street, it didn't have a muffler and it was loud, we could enforce it. I mean, usually it results in a you know, we call it a fix-it ticket or an equipment repair. It's like get your muffler fixed. You know, it wouldn't necessarily have to be a ticket, you know, we could progressively work on the issue with the violator.
It was a common theme that I saw.
Yeah.
With quite a few of the communities, so.
So that's something that you wanted to include, the muffler, or no? So, I mean, because basically it's already covered by state statute, right? Is that-
Well, that's for motorists driving on the road.
On
Really, my concern, if we did not, I guess, if we did not include that, it's not registered, it's in their garage, it's a park, it doesn't have to be, and it wouldn't fall under that rule.
Right, so
It
yeah,
might make sense
So-
to include it, yeah, I mean, I would say, I don't know that I would wanna go to the extremes of Ogallala, because people own their properties and they have hobbies and they,
I agree.
you know, it feels like a bit much to me, but I think the hours.
I definitely think the hours appeals to me the most.
The dirty part thing is not, I mean, if we get noise complaints in town, it's barking dogs, loud music, you know, or people maybe outside a little bit late at night, and in the dirty car thing, but that's isolated really to 2 locations in town, and, you know, that goes back quite a ways, in terms of, there just aren't that many people that are involved in the hobby, if you will, so it isn't a huge problem. We're probably need to just like outlaw dirty cars in town, you know.
Well, isn't it kind of like seasonal? I mean, they don't do it year round, do they? It's kind of a couple month thing, probably.
It's very seasonal. I mean, it doesn't
Maybe,
bug
I
me,
mean-
and I live right next to it, and I figure it's a good, healthy hobby, that it's family oriented.
Yes.
There's lots of other things that I do not want in my neighborhood. The derby car is all right, because I know that's something the family does, and it's fun.
But are they beating on their derby car with loud hammers all the time?
Well,
Morning,
only
good night.
seasonal,
Okay.
it's only, he works, so it's not 24/7, so I mean, it's acceptable hobby to me, I mean, you know, my hobby's quilting and it's quiet, thankfully, but I'm just saying.
So she gets out the gas.
That's a generator.
You ever see those big balloons?
Now, that would.
So if we put a time limit on something like that, people still could do it and still have their
Yes.
hobby and not limit them from their activity. But they would just have to choose a time that would not disturb their neighbors.
Right.
For that and everything else.
And you can still have the excessive noise.
I think Atkinson was my favorite as far as how specific it gets with excessive noise, but then still kind of talks to general disturbance of the peace and disorderly conduct, kind of cover all of that, but it is very specific to industrial equipment, heavy machinery, jackhammers, things like that, which
Yeah, that first.
I guess though, Donna, from that perspective, I know when you start listing things, does that get hard to enforce or defend if the excessive noise is not related to that specific item?
I mean, yeah, you just kind of have to make sure that it's still broad enough, so you just kind of tweak your language to cover. What to cover.
So now we come to a time.
Yeah, what was, I know you guys were talking to several folks, what was the rating?
Well, a lot of them had young kids. I mean, I kind of personally like an idea of a summer in school, but that would be, we would be the first to kind of do that, as I mentioned at the end, we'd be the first one to kind of breach that ground, like a summer's time and like a school time. They like that, but not everybody has young kids. 10 PM to me personally is too late for somebody to beat on a car or driving a lawnmower next to my house. So I would say, my personal thought, I liked 8 AM to 9 PM is what I thought, you know? Cause I was outside my house at 8:30 at night on a Saturday and I wouldn't mind if my neighbors listened to music while I was walking around my yard at that point, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I'm actually fine with it being a little later on a weekend, because they have some of the weekend times, and I would define a weekend or weeknight as a Friday night and a Saturday night. And I would define a weekday as a Sunday night, because everybody goes back to work or goes to school on Monday. And so I would say, Sunday to Thursday. So if we're gonna have earlier times, I would do a Sunday to Thursday night, and maybe that would go as late as 9, and then maybe on Friday night to Saturday night, it would go, 10. Unless you got a waiver, for your block party or.
And then have it year round.
Huh?
And then have those times year round.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think that would be fine. I'm okay with that either way, but the other thing is like, I don't know how long it takes to do a survey. What would the town like, you know what I mean? I remember when surveys take a long time and I don't know what our feedback is and I don't know what the labor.
Generally not well received.
Right.
Yeah.
So
we could do a survey. I mean, you could do a Survey Monkey, next week. I would tell you the library did one for their little project, and I think they've gotten 130 responses. Statistically, that's
1%, 10%.
that's 130, yeah, a little more than 1%. 10%, sorry.
That's about right.
Yeah, and that's about what you're gonna get on a survey.
Yeah, so and then also we'll have 3 readings minimum of the ordinance. So, and we have, and the papers here, so we'll put it in the paper, and so.
Do the survey.
Okay, so, or ask for feedback, you know what I mean? I'd like to have the town's feedback,
Last week.
Well, it sounds like our current situation is improved, okay, so taking the time to survey the community, figure out if we can do a range that's acceptable. Human portion would be good.
And I do think it would be easier for people to keep track of if we just had one set.
I agree, and not everybody works Monday through Friday,
Right.
and there are a lot of people who have to work weekends. But I agree, I would say a set time.
We can put that on this. All right, good discussion. Any other, ideas?
On the survey, do you just want him to put times, and we want to choose like 2 or 3 times again?
I think we should choose times, but honestly,
Yeah, I think data collection wise, it would be best if it was just a radio button option to collect instead of like a free form, you know, that would be a good way to hammer it through. So like pick a time range, that's your preferred time range, maybe 3 options, and then do you think there should be a different time for Friday, Saturday night, maybe, yes?
So. So when you want to close the survey? We have 3 readings that we July 24th.
When do you think we can get it? It's the notification out that it's coming.
The July 20th.
Or are we reading an ordinance during this time?
There'll be 3 readings.
And if we change it,
We still have time to change them.
yeah, and then, and make it so. Has to be linked to email, so someone doesn't get on there and do the survey 50 times.
Yeah, one issue.
No. I think you want to put,
I'm not collecting them.
I think you might see about now, you know, we can go away with the system. Right. I think you let it be more. Okay. We understand. Basic times, but also there will be.
Right.
Language for this on the waivers, are you? Do you want to approve each of those, or you give my discretion on those? What line do you mind?
I think you're the city superintendent, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Coordinate the sheriff's department.
And then, and. Process, that's what they just.
They can follow your good process.
right, so you'll have a special events.
Okay, I think that gives me enough direction to start it.
Very good discussion, thank you everyone, for chiming in, appreciate it. All right. Onward to. Bill and claims, everyone get a chance to look at the bills and claims? Yep. All right.
Really claims, no, next $75,021.
Second.
Tierney moved to accept building claims and Sam seconded it in amount of $375,021.11.
Did you say the amount, Jerry?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Any discussion? Tierney? Amy? Andrew? Yes. Motion carried. Well, you know, I'm supposed to like bury it. Yes. And so sometimes I trip over who I wish to go out there. And,
sure,
all right. So then we need one of us to move and, okay.
Motion to go into executive session with the parties requested by Anna for the purposes of discussing potential litigation. At 7:30.
Second.
Kimberly moved, Tierney second, that we go into executive session at 7:39 with the parties that are attorney listed. Any discussion? Sam, how do you vote?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
Tierney? Yeah. Kimberly?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Oh, I thought it was pretty.
Okay, we are out of executive.
So I will make a motion though for us to be out of executive session in E17.
Kimberly moved, Andrea second, that we come out of executive session at 8:17. Any discussion? Tierney, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
We are out of executive session and there'll be no further business. We are adjourned at 8:18. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.